Hey, what's up? This is I Drink and I Know Things. This is episode 17. What if? We like to do the alt history stuff every now and again. This time around, what if King Louis the 16th makes it out of France? Um, and that's where I'm just gonna pose it right there. All right, he got caught in our real timeline. He got caught 30 miles away from the Austrian-Hungarian border. His wife, that's where she came from. If he would have made it out, they were a monarchy. They didn't want a revolution on their doorstep. They didn't want that upheaval that was the French Revolution, what it turned into. Napoleon, for fuck's sake. You know what I mean? um, Now, if he makes it out, Jensen, English Civil War, the king gets out of the castle where he's held, raises his banners, gets a new army immediately. English Civil War's on. Same thing if Louis makes it.
Oh, that's actually a good question. Do you know what? I don't know, and I'll tell you why I don't know. Okay, this is not me just, oh, I don't know. I actually don't think he would succeed in doing that because, after all, by that point, he was losing pretty badly. Let's get completely blunt here. And unfortunately, people have a habit of following the winning leader, no matter what their original choices might have been. So I don't know if he would have actually got the sort of army he was hoping for.
He would have had a foreign army. He would have had his wife's family provide the army. So he would have had the Austrian-Hungarian army. But the thing is, he also had support in France still. It wasn't the support he thought, because obviously somebody ratted him out and he got caught when he tried to finally escape. But there's this one point where they used to go to this little villa just on the outskirts of Paris, right? Close enough to where the revolutionists didn't think he was running off, but far enough away to where he could have some fucking peace and quiet for a holiday. You know what I mean? With so him and Marie go out there to the carriage, and they get surrounded by the mob. You know, that's all you can call it during the French Revolution, right? A mob.
Yeah.
And they sit there. Okay, so and the guard orders the troops to clear the path. They refuse the order. They stand there. So they don't clear a path for the king. So there he is, sitting in the carriage while the mob is yelling insults at him and his wife. He's the goddamn king of France, remember, all right? They effectively stood there all day because they sat there, the king did, waiting for the crowd to disperse. That way they could go ahead and leave. The crowd never dispersed. Matter of fact, it got bigger. They ended up having to get out of the carriage and go back inside the palace. Now, the thing is, it was at that point when he knew, I gotta get the fuck out of here. They're not even pretending to work with me anymore. They're gonna kill me. You know what I mean?
Well, he wasn't completely stupid then.
Yeah, just French.
I'm doing my best not to be anti-French here. It's difficult, dude. Come on. No, seriously though. This is why I don't think he would have actually got anything close to the sort of following that he would need to take back his country. Now, what could...
So here's where I'm getting to where he had support. So this is what happens after they go back in. The mob stays there. Well, about 400 lords get their swords, grab their freaking flintlocks or whatever the fuck they have back then, and they all one by one go into the palace and they surround the king to protect him because they think, that the mob is going to break in and try and kill the king. And they end up, the same guy that tried to order his troops to clear a path is like, I don't remember his name, fucking French names. I'm not even going to try. But he goes in there and he tells them to disarm. They tell him to fuck off. The king tells him, go ahead and disarm, because he knows this is going to get bad really quickly.
Yeah.
And then they disarm and leave in disgust. They're, like, what the fuck? We're here to protect you, and you tell us to fucking put down our weapons? You're a fucking moron. You know what I mean? But he did have support from the lords in the country still.
Mad, I think the guy you're talking about is Robespierre.
Yeah, see, that is, but I couldn't say his fucking name.
No worries, mate. Just don't ask me how I know some of these names, because with memes here, we may end up having the Dogtanian theme tune playing in the background.
What? No, I was just reading the article about will my cat eat my eyeballs?
That's terrifying.
Well, it's Ask a Mortician. It's kind of like Dare Abby. Except they're Caitlin.
Ask him. Shut up, memes. Okay.
Oh, she's a YouTuber.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Her stuff's actually really kind of cool. I mean, I have no idea.
Oh, she kind of looks like Lydia from Beetlejuice. Or at least in that picture. Oh, I didn't say it 3 times yet, but we summoned an owl.
Ah.
What's going on?
I don't know how interested you're going to be in the topic. It's an alternate history thing, so it's kind of nerdy, Wolfshot, but welcome.
Hey, Wolfie.
You act like I'm a complete fucking moron who has no idea about science when I was defending you on multiverse theory.
No, I just think you're going to say gay and then leave in like 10 minutes.
Well, there's still time, but Wolfshot, do you think that will your cat eat your eyeballs?
I think if I die in a house with my cat, that the cat won't eat me.
Well, I think one of the morticians agrees.
Okay.
And the reason they go for the eyeballs is one of the softest tissue areas, theoretically.
I thought eyes were chewy.
In comparison to muscles, they're a damn sight easy to chew on.
No, I remember when we dissected frogs and stuff. I think they let me take home the eyeballs.
Glad I'm not eating pizza anymore. Anyway, so Jensen, I did cut you off, but he did have support in France still. So if he makes it out and is able to get an army, he will have some support in France.
Yeah, but the problem we've got is not the fact that does he have any, it's does he have enough? And I don't think he does, mate. I think he is literally on borrowed time, even in a what-if scenario, which actually is kind of bad when you work on the idea that the whole point of a what-if is to change what's going on. I still think he's screwed.
He was kind of in checkmate, you think?
Yeah, he was on so bad a checkmate. The other team had got all of their pawns into queens, and he's left sitting there in one corner with one move to make. Literally.
Well, maybe if he went all Shaggy Ultra Instinct, he could win.
I don't actually know what that means. Sorry, dude. Probably a good reference. I just don't recognize it.
I'll send you the video.
Okay, cool.
Why do you think that? You think, okay, I would also think he would have to leave Paris earlier. Because when he does finally try and leave, it's a little bit too late. I think you have a point there. But if he leaves early enough, I think there's a chance.
I suppose it really depends on how much wealth he's got access to. And before you say he's the king, by that point, that's a very questionable statement. Because, I mean, mercenaries, it's not like he wouldn't have access to, I don't know, the Hessians. It's not like you guys have any cross-reference there. But if he's got enough money, maybe he could actually make a difference. The problem is I genuinely don't think he actually stands that much of a chance. Our dear old Napoleon is going to become emperor, take over the world, and, you know, walk on water, raise the dead, and cure cancer.
See, that's another thing. If he leaves early enough, Napoleon, would he really have been what he was? He
Yes.
came. Oh, okay. Why?
Okay, I'm going to be blunt, and I'm trying. Remember, I'm trying not to just slag them off because they're French. Okay, I think that Napoleon would have still got as far as he did, if not further, purely because he was a power mad lunatic who knew how to take it and knew what to do with it. Your opinion?
Oh, what? Oh, I was watching the video.
Actually,
Okay, so the thing is, I don't know, because he wasn't from France, really, right? Where was he born?
Sardinia, I think, or Corsica, one of them two.
Yeah, and his family wasn't necessarily rich either. The reason he was in Paris during the revolution was because he was a soldier.
Yeah. The thing is, this is not actually helping dear old Lulu, who is currently in a world of shit, and it's actually getting worse. Now, I agree. If he'd got out earlier, maybe he could have got away with this. But I suppose it really depends. Was he able to leave someone behind as a double to keep the illusion that he was still there, which means people would be keeping an eye on the palace more than, you know, watching the coaches? I guess it's at the end of the day, it's all about deception. Was he any good? If not, Lulu was in trouble. And one way or another, our dear old Bonaparte is crusading around thinking he's the bee's knees. Then he met us. Your turn, Mad. You got no excuse. You got no kids here.
Oh, I'm muted. I'm trying to look at the map and see where he would have crossed the border, but it must have been into the Holy Roman Empire first, right?
He if only he had Uber.
Don't you mean lay Uber?
Late Uber, way whatever. Actually, he could have gotten there extra fast because they've taken out all the parking cameras and the speed trap cameras in France. I thought.
Oh my god, fucking hell!
Could ride that horse like there's no tomorrow.
And Ain't Jack says
his
Napoleon
wife must have been German. It must have been Germany he was headed towards. I'm looking at the map, and there's no way it was the border with Austria-Hungary.
Ain't Jack brings up a point. Napoleon wasn't actually short. That was British propaganda. He was actually a little bit taller than average height. I actually completely believe that.
Wait. So you're saying like several hundred years ago we had the same propaganda as like President Trump in his tiny hands?
Yes. In fact, technically, they were actually even better back then. Because after all you had was word of mouth back then. It's not like people were walking around with mobile phones, unless, of course, you believe in time travelers, which is a completely different show.
That's almost how Jaime Lannister went unnoticed. It's like, have I ever seen you before? Nope.
Well, that's the point. I mean, we sit there and say that, yeah, of course we know what King Henry VIII looks like. No, we don't. Okay. No, we don't. What we have are some pictures that were done by people who liked not having their knackers put on the chopping block, and so done extra nice pictures of our monarch. Casually. Go on.
Jensen, you're not suggesting that certain folks may do kind of almost an ancient Photoshop, if you would.
I would most definitely be suggesting that pretty much anything prior to the development of photography, you can basically go, they looked something like that, I guess.
You know what's funny? They actually, so the postmaster in one of the towns that they were going through when he was trying to escape, saw they were in disguise or whatever, but he's like, wait a minute, that Baroness looks a lot like the Queen. And he pulled out some currency and it had the king on it. And you could, I guess the king, I guess Louis had a big ass nose. Who knew? I didn't know that. But I guess he looked at the money and he saw the big ass nose and then looked at the guy and was like, wait a minute, that's the king. Like they're trying to fucking escape. And then he took a shortcut to the next town and warned them, and that's how they got busted. It because of his big fat nose.
That doesn't actually surprise me. And let's be honest, again, still desperately trying not to take the piss out of the French. God, it's difficult. You can't imagine. But they are well known for what is known as the Gaelic nose. They do have a certain Romanesque stature to their nose, which is as polite a way as I can put it.
So this guy gets screwed over by his own currency?
Yeah.
Oh, that was an oversight.
No, seriously, this guy had the worst luck ever. I mean, fucking hell.
See, that's where you lot have actually had a good idea. You've only put the old presidents on stuff, you know. I mean, let's be fair. If George Washington happened to still be alive, I think people may just about recognize the dude. It's not like there's, statues upon statues and, oh yeah, the $1 bill,
Yeah, but I don't know what would happen if George Washington started walking down the street.
We would know who he was because we'd hear his wooden teeth clink together.
No, he had teeth made from rhinoceros or hippopotamus ivory. I learned that after about an hour and 7 minutes.
I heard it was walrus, but okay.
Well, he had several sets.
No, that's a valid point.
He may have also had some slave teeth as well.
Yeah, I heard that. I don't know. But MC in the chat says his wife could help him leverage troops. That's my point. Yeah, he would show up with an army. Now, if you think Napoleon would have still rose up and he would have been the one leading the revolutionary troops, maybe Louis still loses. But he would have an army. He would come back and he would head straight to Paris and kill his enemies. I know that's what I would do.
There is only one problem with having a mercenary army. The word mercenary is kind of the subtle clue. If your opponent can pay more than you can, your mercenary army suddenly belongs to them. Oh dear, how sad, never mind. Because after all, they're now the guards that are protecting you. Oh, this isn't going well for him, is it? Dear old Lulu's in a bad place about now.
He would know where the treasury is, so you loot the treasury first and pay your mercenaries and then continue on.
He would know where the treasury is. You mean that big-ass treasury that's back at the palace, the one that he ran away from, the one where he had to grab his shit and get out as quick as he can, and so therefore didn't rob his own palace? Can you see a problem here?
Well, as long as he changed it from the password on his luggage.
Fucking hell, memes.
Do you know what? I was expecting some sort of changing it from francs to euros joke, but okay, no, that's actually pretty good, dude.
Well, we got to pay homage to Spaceballs.
Fair point, sir. Oh my god, they've gone beige. Right, there you go. That's my one Spaceballs reference that I vaguely remember.
I think it's plaid, which is similar to beige.
There you go. All right, plaid then. Like I said, it's the one reference I vaguely remember. So,
Are they remaking that movie after like 30 something years?
oh dear God, no.
I heard something like that. I know they're redoing Beetlejuice.
What?
Again, oh dear
Yes,
God, no.
they are. He's coming.
This isn't good.
Yeah, just give me a minute, guys. Moment of silence for the great movie that was Beetlejuice. All right, let me wipe my eyes. No kidding.
No, not that tissue. That's oh dear, too late.
But no, all right. So okay, he makes it out because that's what we're changing here.
Yeah.
Does he just go into exile then and live in Germany? I believe I was wrong when I said Austria-Hungary. I believe she was German, but yeah.
I don't actually know where she was from. My apologies on this one. But well, actually, funnily enough, him going into exile might have actually done him better than just charging back in like a lunatic. Without wanting to seem too harsh, you basically feed the rabble a whole bunch of the nobles. Let's be fair, there's too many of the bloody things around anyway. They get their bloodlust out. They're now weaker because they're no longer quite so focused. And at this point, you come belting in from the east with your new army, and then we see how interesting things go.
Yeah, that would probably be the smarter way to do it. Is if he would have made it out, just go stay with your wife's family, man. Stay with the in-laws for a while. Build an army and watch France burn, because that's what's going to happen. We know what happens. Look back at it. How many people got killed?
Not enough. I mean, I don't know.
Wasn't there one point in during the real bad times where how do you say it?
Sorry,
I always called it a guillotine, but last time I said that, everybody said I pronounced it wrong.
I've always pronounced it right. What it is a lot of people like to pronounce it as guillotine, but I've always pronounced it as guillotine.
Guillotine, yeah.
Guillotine.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, either way, wasn't there one point where it was pretty much chopping heads off all day and all night?
Yeah.
Like this lined motherfuckers up. Next.
It was a method of execution. It wasn't a slap chop.
You tell that to the French, man. Like they weren't chopping loaves of fucking bread with it.
Are you sure they weren't? Because that seems like something somebody at that time would do.
Before the execution, the fucking executioners.
The Earl of Sandwich is like, put my meat upon thy bread. But how shall we cut it? Evenly. All right. Oh, this jam is very tasty. Yes, jam.
That's not jam.
Well, must be jam because jelly don't shake.
You don't make blood pudding with, human blood.
No, you make candy with it.
I'm sorry. What was that, Mad? Did you say you don't or you can't? Word that carefully.
I said you don't. It's just something you don't do.
Okay, just wanted to, just before you said anything that you may come to regret. After all, one day I will be over and one day I will offer you finger food, and it'll be your choice if you eat it.
So, and again, this is why we need to use proper conjunctions. Don't, can't.
Yeah, exactly.
Conjunction, what's your function? I still don't know.
Oh, my God. How many times, memes? How many times?
Hey, at least I didn't bring up Godzilla this time.
No, I'm just wondering how many times you were dropped on your head as a child.
Just once that I know of.
Did you bounce?
Apparently.
They are called bouncing babies, so I don't see the problem.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah, concrete's not quite like a ball pit, though.
Okay, so let's continue on then. We'll go with your idea, Jensen. He makes it out and he waits, right? So, if Napoleon does still rise to power, well, the same shit's gonna happen, right? He's gonna conquer most of Europe.
Yeah.
So, how far can Louis run?
Well, see, that's that's the problem that he's got. I mean, don't get me wrong; it's all well and good running off to the Holy Roman Empire, but you know, we kind of know that Napoleon sent his lads that way, and while they're there, they might as well get rid of, you know, dear old Lulu. They don't want him coming back and wrecking shit. So he's probably going to have to bugger off to North Africa or something similar to actually have a hope in hell of actually surviving this, in my opinion.
Would the British have taken him in? I doubt it. You know, there was just that, American thing that Louis didn't really help out with.
Well, it's not just that, okay? You've got to remember that most of the royals of that timeline were all interrelated. They were all blood relatives. Now, before you go, oh, so you must mean, of course, they'd take him in. Like hell. Just like most families, there are fights. The difference is, with the nobility back then, when they had a row with our Sharon for keeping the lawnmower, they sent over 10,000 people to deal with the problem, not just chucked a brick through the window. Okay, so if we actually got our hands on Lulu, there's actually a good chance we'd have turned round to Napoleon and said, we got something for you. How about we come up with a deal, mate? Basically, the British.
I was reading the chat. Sorry. Okay, so he can't run to, because that's the only place he'd be safe for Napoleon. Yeah, Russia. That's where you go, and you bring some winter clothes.
Yeah, winter clothes and a bit of food. Generally a good option if you're having anything to do with Russia. Just, you know, something I've spotted over history. It seems to be a connecting feature. No, but because we're going with the what if of him actually surviving, which I would like to point out, I still don't think he would. But this is the history we're writing. So let's get with the fact that he's instead of going off to the Holy Roman Empire, instead he's turned south, got onto a boat in Marseille, and buggered off over to North Africa, which is probably the one place he actually has a hope in hell of hiding out, if only just. Of course, the problem is he's then got so many bounty hunters after him, including from all of the major rulers of the world powers, because, you know, it's always good to have access to a ex-king. You don't know what sort of benefits you can get for handing him in. So the guy's basically got his nuts in his hand and is praying like a good one that no one catches him. Unfortunately, Bonaparte has done exactly what he done last time, well, you know, in our history, and has taken over because, like it or not, people like having leaders. Go on, mad. Have your 5 minutes of ANCAPy, whatever the fuck you want to call it.
No, this isn't the time or place for that. But if Louis is still alive, would Napoleon ever even try and invade Russia? What's the point? You want to track down Louis. That's your first thing to do. How can you be emperor of France if fucking King Louis is still alive?
That you are correct there, mate. I mean, an emperor technically outranks the king, though it can be argued on quite extensively. But, you know, if he's got himself emperorhood, he's pretty much as good as it's going to get. Just because there's this big-nosed twat running around North Africa trying to hire people. And again, even if he had somehow got his entire bloody fortune with him, I'm going to put it bluntly, the moment he got to Africa, his money's going to be gone. And no, I'm not trying to suggest theft, though that would be part of it. They would literally milk him of everything, and he would have to pay, because otherwise they'd send a runner to say, yo, Bonaparte, we've got a guy you might want to look at. Oh yeah, who's this? Here's a 1 franc note. You might recognize the dude.
Okay, but here's the thing. Let's say he goes to North Africa, whatever. I still don't know why he would run there. I think America would be even more logical. You're not going to raise an army, but you can rule in exile. You know, a government in exile out of you know, the United States, and they kind of owe him. You know what I mean?
No. America would probably be as bad as Britain. Okay, simply put, I know you're going to argue, but what about all the French territories? Do you mean the ones that they gave over to the British, which then became the Americans? So America's not really going to want a king dicking around on there. After all, wasn't it a king over in Britain that had just, you know, really, really pissed you guys off?
Yeah, but this king kind of helped us get rid of your king. We kind of owe him a favor or two.
Yeah, and what's a really good way of paying off a favor? If the guy's dead, you don't have to pay any favors.
You know, and this is something I forgot about. During John Adams' presidency, which is when this shit was going on, and during Washington's, the French had actually sent dignitaries to America to try and get help or whatever for the revolutionists. So there was actually recruiters and some Americans that were going over and helping, you know, to oust Louis. So I kind of doubt Louis could run to America. He's kind of fucked. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. Shitty time to be a king.
No, that's the thing, mate. You're right. After all, let's be fair. There was a rumor that at one point a whole bunch of people wanted George Washington to be King George.
Yeah, that would not have gone over well. We weren't about to trade one King George for another.
Do you know how close it got?
Yeah, it got up to George himself going, "Are you guys daft?"
Yeah, that's the point. There were enough people wanting this that it actually had to be him say, "What the hell, guys? No," because otherwise, yeah, you would have been the Kingdom of America. Now, that's a what-if story to do one day.
That would be interesting, because I think you still would have had the Civil War, but then you would have the Confederacy as being trying to overthrow a king. It would be a weird dynamic that wasn't in the American Civil War in our timeline. Yeah. That would be interesting.
Actually, you'll probably know this, because I know I bloody well don't. George Washington, you know, your primary president, where was he from? What state?
Virginia.
So basically a cough southern state.
Oh yeah. Mount Vernon was a plantation in Virginia, yeah. Or
you might want to rethink. Okay. You might want to rethink one of your points earlier saying about the Confederacy fighting against the monarchy, because it would probably been the Confederacy keeping the monarchy and the Union fighting against the monarchy. So that would have been an interesting twist, wouldn't it?
I don't know. Well, maybe. I don't know.
Because, I mean, I understand America has a bit of a thing for being anti-monarchy. Okay, we understand this. That's not a problem. But if you guys actually had your own monarch, oh, that would be an interesting situation. Because you could sit there and still argue, yeah, but the South are still going to go to war because of the slaves. We got the king. I think we win. You know, if the king says slaves are fine, shut up, slaves are fine. If king says we're getting rid of them, shut up, we're getting rid of them. Technically, he could have actually possibly stopped the Civil War itself if there had been a king.
Well, no, and this isn't, what we originally started off with, but might as well digress, because I don't know. It sounds like Louis fucked, no matter what.
He is.
But that would be interesting, because if George tried to become a king, I think you would have had, the British would have just came back, because you would have had the states just erupt in violence immediately. And the country had no time to even become a country yet, really. I mean, it would have been a disaster. It wouldn't have been a good idea at all.
Okay, valid point. Like I say, I'm only bringing up the fact of America having a king because, after all, we're bringing the French king over. Now, how am I going to put this? If you're the ruler of an area, you don't really like having other kings in your area. They get funny ideas. They look at your seat and think, my bum would look good in that seat. So back in those days, we had a way of dealing with it. It was called killing them. No offense to Lulu, but that dude was quite literally a dead man walking. About the only way he could have less of a survival chance is if he was walking through Brooklyn with a Black Lives Don't Matter banner over his head.
It'd be interesting. King George, you know what he would do? He would take all the British muskets and officer swords and melt them down and make his throne out of that, Game of Thrones style.
That would have been interesting. Thing is, see, I know we're not doing the what if King George Washington, but that would make for an absolutely fascinating what if. And more the point, Alt History Channel hasn't actually done that. They only came up with the fact that there could have been, but there wasn't.
Yeah, no, because and like John Adams, how should we address the president? His Highness, the president. They're like, that sounds like a king thing, but John's like, oh no, it's fine, it's cool. And he actually argued this shit for months until finally George Washington was like, it's Mr. President, that's it. Like, shut up, John.
No, it actually makes sense as to why they wanted to do that. Okay, whether you like it or not, pretty much your entire founding fathers are ex-British. Okay, you can argue, no, they're American, they were born there, blah, blah, blah. Yes, that is true. I'm not going to disagree with you in the slightest. But they came from a society that automatically bends the knee when royalty is involved. Whether they like it or not, it's still an automatic response back in those days. Nowadays, no. You got to remember that we're looking at this through modern eyes. We have to actually try and think back to how those people would have thought.
Oh, yeah, no, that's the main thing, too, is it was only you lot that called us colonials. We thought we were British. We really thought that. And I say thought it and not knew it because obviously we weren't. You didn't let us in Parliament. You told us to go fuck ourselves, and we're like, all right, you want it that way, okay?
No, dude. As we did in the Pax Imperica thing, I'm actually all for the idea of Britain and America staying together. I really was. The way they treated Benjamin Franklin was, to put it simply, unacceptable. But then again, he's the king. He can do what the hell he wants. And that was one of the major problems you guys had, was the accountability of the king to his people.
Now, there is one aspect that we've never really talked about, and one of those lectures I was listening to did mention it. Or no, I think it was another YouTuber mentioned it. But we were kind of assholes about it because we kind of benefited from the French and Indian War more than you guys did, and you guys paid for it. I kind of see why you wanted to have some taxes, and we were like, no, we're not paying. Taxation and stuff.
And there it is. I was waiting.
You bunch of libertarians. Fuck you. I don't know.
No, but going with the let's be fair, the French king is the dead man. Okay, I think we've both pretty much come up with the same sort of concept of this, unless the guy managed to get himself quite literally to the other end of the planet. He was a dead man walking. Now, Bonaparte. Was he a good leader? Yes. Was he a dick? Well, yes. But, that's just standard British feelings towards our French brethren. But he was an efficient leader. And by the way, he is someone that you guys could have done with during the War of Independence. That would have made things an absolute arse ton easier for you guys.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm the first one to admit it. George Washington lost almost every battle he fought. You know what he was good at? Retreating.
Oh dear, this is actually news to me. So cool. Wow.
Yeah, but he was able to keep his army together, and that's all he had to do. He finally realized after we lost New York and then Philadelphia fell, he realized, all right, we can't go, man to man with them. We can't. But what we can do is make this last so fucking long that they can't afford it anymore. And they fucking leave. And that's kind of what happened.
That actually sounds about right. Yeah. Wow. You guys literally won because we ran out of money to send people over. Damn.
Yeah, well, and the siege of Yorktown didn't hurt, but hey, you guys could have sent another army. You didn't have to give up. You could have came back.
Yeah. I mean, technically, had it not been for the little incident going on in France and the other things that Britain had its fingers dipped in, which was quite a few, I will freely admit. The problem that the Americans would have had is, whether you guys like it or not, we had an absolute arse ton of ports we could have used. Before you go, what the hell are you talking about? I'm just going to point at Canada and smile.
Yeah, we should have made you guys give us Canada. Seriously. British Columbia should be ours, but whatever.
Dude. You are talking to the person who still wonders why the hell America doesn't actually own the Americas.
War of 1812, we tried to take Canada. You guys had an issue with it. And we were losing that war. That's when you guys burnt the White House. Well, it was green, but, whatever.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to apologize. Kiss my ass.
And we needed to redecorate. It's all right.
Instantly turning it into a racist building. How long before they demand the change of the name?
I thought Obama was going to paint it. to be honest. He's like, fuck this.
This is the thing. We're sitting here making jokes about this, and there are lunatics out there that probably actually think that this is a good idea.
Oh, I know, and that's what I hate. Is it's like we're giving these people ideas. We don't want to do that.
Cabby has surfaced. Cabby, why don't you come on and help cheer on the French? Because I'm sure your opinions on these would be most interesting. Rainbow House. Do you know what? I think Loafer's actually got a good idea for the repainting of the White House. Paint it nice and rainbow. I mean, let's be fair. This whole world has turned into clown world nowadays. You might as well have a clown as your... Oh, yeah. I probably shouldn't say anymore, should I?
Orange Man bad. I don't know.
Cabby can't make it. Okay, dude, no worries. I understand, man.
But I don't know. We could just have a short episode here and fucking hang out in Discord if you want. Because I'm pretty much, yeah, you're right. Louis pretty screwed. So unless we want to go on to a totally different topic, I don't know what else we could beat this horse with.
No, I'm actually quite comfortable with saying Louis ends up about a foot shorter than he's meant to be. And, you know, Bonaparte does his thing, gets lippy, goes into Belgium, bumps into us and realizes, oh, I shouldn't have done that. So, yeah, I'm actually comfortable if you want to make this a short one. We've done an hour, and let's be fair, it's not exactly either of our specialities.
I don't really know much about French history. You know, why do I care? So, good night, good luck. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll have the normal time, normal 2-hour block. I'll figure out something. Take it easy, everybody. And I guess, yeah, if your name's Louis, I wouldn't go to France. We're out of here.